Hello, I'm Nexus Gamer 8472, and today I've got something a bit different than what I normally upload. Today I will be talking about Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth, a game that by the time this video releases will be 10 years old. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what is Civilization Beyond Earth? Well, Beyond Earth is a turn-based strategy game developed by Firaxis as a spin-off to the main Civilization series, as well as a spiritual successor to one of their early games, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. So first, I'll talk about sponsors, which is what replaced the civilizations used in the rest of the series. Sponsors are basically who you play as in Beyond Earth. The base game includes 8, with an additional 4 in the expansion pack, but I'll get to those 4 later. We'll start with the first 8. Alright, first we have the American Reclamation Corporation. They are led by a woman named Suzanne Fielding, and they focus mainly on covert intrigue. Next, we have the Pan-Asian Cooperative, led by Dalming Sochua. They are focused on building wonders, as the first wonder built in any city will only take 1 turn, with exception to special wonders. Next, we have the People's African Union, led by Samatar Jamabar. This faction focuses on city growth in healthy cities. Our 4th sponsor is Franco-Iberia, led by a woman simply named Elodie. Their focus is just earning a free virtue after earning a specific number of virtues. Next, the 5th sponsor, the Kavifan Protectorate, led by Kavifa Thakur. They get reduced energy and culture to acquire new cities. Next, we have Brasilia, under the command of Reginaldo de Alencar. They get increased war score points, and with the expansion pack, additional diplomatic capital from units killed in combat. Next up, we have Polystralia, led by a man named Utama. Their focus is simply on trade routes. And finally, we have the Slavic Federation, led by Vadim Kozlov. They can build satellites with less strategic resources and start with some free ones. Now, on to gameplay. Replacing barbarians, we instead have the native alien wildlife. Instead of instantly attacking you, as long as you avoid their nests, the aliens will leave you alone, unless another player has provoked them. In starting a new game, your planet selection screen gives you multiple types of planets.
What do you propose?
First, we have Terran worlds, which are just continental planets from other Civ games. Protean worlds, which have a Pangaea-styled continent, and Atlantean worlds, which are mostly islands and oceans, along with the usual mix of worlds expected in a civilization game. That's like the two-man worlds, etc. Next, we've got planet biomes, which determine alien behavior and what planets look like. First, we've got the lush biome, which is the most Earth-like of the game's biomes. Secondly, we have the arid biome, and lastly, we have the fungal biome, the most alien-like of the biomes. Introduced in the game is a new layer, the orbital layer. This is where you can view your orbital units after launching them, at least until they deorbit or get shot down by hostile missile units. Next up, we have espionage. Unlike Civ 5's espionage system, there's more you can do with espionage other than steal technologies, which you can still do. You can steal energy, the game's main currency, recruit defectors, detonate a dirty bomb to lower population, or even launch a coup d'etat. Added into the game is the quest system, which allows you to earn bonuses from completing objectives. Instead of city-states, you get independent stations that you can trade with or destroy. Colonists work almost the same as settlers in other Civ games, except that instead of founding a city upon use, they create an outpost, which after a set number of turns becomes a city. Next, we come to units. You all know how workers and the various military units work, but I need to talk about one unit in specifically, the Explorer. The Explorer is basically a combination of Civ 5's Scout and Archaeologist. best suited to search uncharted territory and excavate sites of interest. Finally, we have strategic resources. There are 6 strategic resources in the game. Your 3 Earth-like ones, petroleum, titanium, and geothermal, and then your 3 affinity-based ones, xenomass, floatstone, and ferraxite. Alright, now on to the affinity system. The game has something called the affinity system. This shapes what your people become on the new world, changing the appearance of not just cities and military units, but also your leaders. Firstly, we have the harmony affinity. This is where your people adapt themselves biologically to the planet's native ecology, gaining immunity to miasma, as well as being able to form good relations with the planet's native wildlife. Next, we have the supremacy affinity. Like with harmony, your people are adapting themselves. However, instead of adapting to the planet, they're replacing their flesh with metals and steel, becoming machines. And finally, we have the purity affinity. Instead of adapting to the planet, you adapt to the planet for humanity, terraforming the land for a more Earth-like appearance. One feature of affinities is they're used to improve military unit. For example, take the game's infantry unit, the soldier. After gaining 1 level into your chosen affinity, the soldier unit becomes the marine unit. After reaching a certain affinity level, the marine can become one of 3 different variations of the infantry unit. Next up, the tech web. In previous Civilization games, technology progression used a linear tech tree, gradually advancing onto new tiers of technology to become an advanced civilization. Beyond Earth, however, technology advancement works differently. Instead of following a rigid tech tree, you instead have a more fluid web, where you can advance in any direction. Technologies in this web fall into 2 categories. Branch, also known as primary technologies, where you research the main technology needed for advancing to other technologies. And then you have leaf, or secondary technologies, where you research more focused techs related to the respective branch technology. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a Civilization game without victory conditions. The game has 5 different victories that a player can achieve. First, we have the Transcendence victory, which requires going down the Harmony affinity. This is where your people connect to the latent consciousness of the planet. Next, we have the Emancipation victory, this one requiring the Supremacy affinity. In this victory, you build the Exodus Gate, which allows you to send soldiers back through to Earth to bring them your own brand of technological enlightenment, whether they want it or not. Then we've got the Promised Land victory, the Purity affinity victory. Like the previous one, you build an Exodus Gate, but instead of sending soldiers, you bring colonists from the overcrowded homeworld to settle in your colony. Now the next 2 victories have no affinity requirements. First, we have the Contact victory, where you build a giant beacon in order to establish contact with a non-human intelligence. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Civilization game without the Domination victory, which just simply requires you to conquer at least the capitals of the other sponsors on the planet. Now, Beyond Earth has 2 DLCs. The first one I'll talk about is the Exoplanets map pack, which was originally included as a pre-order DLC. This contains 6 maps based off of long-range observations of 6 real exoplanets beyond our solar system, like for example Kepler 186f. The second, which I'll go into more detail, is the Rising Tide expansion pack. This gives you 2 new types of biomes, aquatic cities, which are just cities that you can build on the ocean, new naval units, new alien sea life, underwater excavations, new currency, diplomatic capital, and of course, as I mentioned before, 4 new sponsors to play as. We'll talk about them first. The first of the new sponsors is called Al-Falah. They're a faction from the Middle East who traveled to the new planet on a generation ship instead of one with cryopods. They are led by a woman named Arisha Kishk, and they focus on city development, like production and stuff. And the second sponsor added is the North Sea Alliance, centered around countries connected to the North Sea, like Britain, Norway, and Denmark, to name a few. They're led by a man named Duncan Hughes. And, as a bonus, they can found their first city on the sea instead of on land. And coupled with this, their focus is on coastal production and city movement, because you can move aquatic cities from point A to point B. Next, we have Integer, led by a woman named Lena Ebner. They're a faction from Germany, but they focused on green technology. Their focus is on diplomatic capital, which was added in the DLC. And lastly, we have Chungsu, led by a man named Han Jae-moon, and they're a faction from Korea. They focus more on covert actions, but like with the NSA, they can found their capital as an aquatic city. Now, earlier I mentioned there were two more biomes. First we have the Primordial biome, a young and rough world with volcanic terrain. And then we have the Frigid biome, an ancient, cold world with the most powerful aliens. Now, the game released to a somewhat mixed reception. One of the main complaints about the game was that it was too similar to Civilization 5, which honestly is to be expected given that it's built off of the same engine as Civ 5, just with a few upgrades in a few places, and Civ 5 had been their most recent successful game, so it's kind of to be expected that although the criticism was there, yeah.
No village.
Another criticism was the diplomacy and AI for being restrictively rigid. But the game did have some praise for its innovative systems, such as the Affinity system, the overhaul of the technology system, and the game had a pretty good soundtrack. Alright, so that's about all I can say about Civilization Beyond Earth. So you're probably wondering why I decided to make this video. There's two main reasons. One, I wanted to experiment a bit with my content, try something new. And two, the game was nearing its 10th anniversary, and I thought, why not make a video on the game with a brief summary of the game for the 10th anniversary. Plus, you know, it's a good excuse to go back to get that last achievement that I was missing, which I didn't get while I was recording, but I did get it shortly after I finished the background footage. Anyway, that was Civilization Beyond Earth, a summary. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
All human history has led us to this point. Today, humanity emerges from the shadows of isolation. The greatest question, are we alone, has finally been answered. There was no way to anticipate who or what we would discover, but we knew that we were ready. As ambassadors of our planet, our race, our species, we step forward boldly to greet our fellow beings and take our place among the stars.